If you ever truly want to protect yourself from being cheated on, the answer doesn't begin with the other person. It doesn't start with watching their phone, checking their location, or overanalyzing their behavior. No, it starts within you. Not because you're to blame for what someone does, but because your energy teaches others how to treat you. You see, there's a version of you that is so deeply rooted in self-respect, so grounded in your truth, that betrayal simply cannot exist in your world. So, you don't become uncheatable by controlling people. You become uncheatable by becoming someone whose love cannot be manipulated, whose time cannot be taken for granted, and whose standards are not negotiable. That version of you doesn't chase red flags. It sets boundaries so clear that red flags don't even show up. People don't always betray you because they're bad. Sometimes they betray you because you gave them too much room to. Let that sink in. It's heartbreaking, but true. Many people only do what you allow them to. Not because they're evil, but because human nature often tests limits. If you give unlimited grace without consequences, you're not showing love. You're showing a fear of loss disguised as loyalty, and people can feel that. When you love someone more than you love yourself, you give them the power to destroy you, and they might not even realize they're doing it. So what do? You build boundaries that reflect your value. You protect your energy like it's sacred because it is. You stop hoping people will love you better and start requiring it from the beginning. In today's world, a woman who leads with love, often finds herself not because she's not enough, but because the game is rigged to reward those who lead with performance, not presence. Those who lead with seduction, not soul. A woman who waits for intimacy to grow naturally, who guards her body because her heart is attached to it, may find herself passed over in a world addicted to instant gratification. But that doesn't mean she should change. No, that woman is a light. Not a light. She's not supposed to change. She's supposed to stand firm and let the world decide. Because the one who truly values her don't want her just for her body, but for her essence, her depth, her mind, her soul. Because real love doesn't rush, it recognizes. Now, some men agree to commitment, not because they're ready, but because they fear losing access. They say yes with their mouths, but a no with their energy. And once they're in the relationship, they begin to resent the very thing they asked for. Suddenly, affection feels like a chore. Checking in feels like pressure. Loving gestures feel like demands. But here's the truth. When a man truly wants a woman, every act of intimacy becomes a joy, not a burden. If a man gets annoyed at giving love, he's either not ready for commitment, or he's with someone he doesn't truly see as his future. And some men don't want love at all. They want control. They want obedience, silence, no resistance. They want someone who exists only to please them. But that's not love, that's ownership. And ownership kills connection, because the moment love is about possession, it stops being about partnership. You can't demand loyalty. If you don't offer love, you can't expect softness from a woman when all you give is sharpness. You can't ask for trust when you create an environment of fear. There are men out there who set boundaries with aggression, forgetting that a boundary without kindness is just a wall. And there are others who go the opposite way. They please so much, they vanish. They lose their voice trying to win someone else's. They think if they just say yes enough, they'll finally be loved. But what ends up happening is this. She forgets who he is. Because he never shows her, he becomes so agreeable that he becomes invisible. Love isn't about becoming what someone wants. It's about revealing who you are. And the truth is, balance has become rare. Men either control or disappear. Women either overgive or withdraw. And somewhere in between is the sacred middle, a place where both people show up with strength and softness. A place where the masculine isn't just about power, it's about protection. Where the feminine isn't just about care, it's about wisdom. I think about the way many men are shaped by their parents, especially their mothers. For some, their mother carried everything. She was the provider, the protector, the nurturer. She bled emotionally so her children wouldn't. She struggled silently while pretending everything was fine. And that leaves a mark. Some men look at that pain and say, "I'll never let the woman I love suffer like that." So it becomes their life's mission to protect, to carry, to save. And while that comes from a beautiful place, it can become dangerous. Because sometimes in trying to protect, they begin to control. Sometimes in trying to save, they end up silencing. The desire to rescue can turn into the habit of erasing her needs. And then there are men who go the other way. They watched their mother break under the weight of responsibility, and they decided to check out, just like their fathers did, emotionally unavailable, uninvolved, because they never learned what healthy masculinity looks like. Their blueprint was broken, so they build broken relationships. And women feel this. They feel when a man is showing up just to fix them. They feel when love comes with an unspoken debt. I helped you, so now you owe me. That's not love. That's emotional manipulation dressed in kindness. True love says, "I'm here, but I don't own you. I support you, but I don't need you to repay me. I want you, but only if you want yourself first." And this is where many relationships crumble. People fall in love with potential, with pain, with brokenness. They stay in the fire hoping it will eventually warm them. They endure abuse, distance, disrespect, all in the name of it being there for someone. But love is not about burning yourself to keep someone else warm. That's not noble. That's self-betrayal. Love is patient, but not passive. It's forgiving, but not forgetful of its worth. Women especially fall into the trap of healing a man in hopes that once he's whole, he will finally see her value. But often, once he's healed, he wants someone who wasn't there during his worst. He doesn't want reminders of his past. And she, who carried him, who saved him, gets left behind. It's cruel, but it's real. Because sometimes the very love that saves them becomes the love they want to outgrow. Not because it was bad, but because they associate it with their lowest moments. And here's the hardest truth of all. People don't always stay where they heal. Sometimes they move on. Sometimes they don't even say thank you. And if your love came with a silent contract, if I help you, you must stay, then heartbreak is inevitable. True love doesn't seek reward. It gives because it wants to. But wise love knows when to stop giving. You don't have to save anyone to prove your value. You don't have to bleed to be loved. You don't have to become someone's therapist just to feel important. You are worthy, even when you walk away. Even when you walk away, because walking away is not failure. It's proof that your heart has limits. Let's go even deeper now. Some men carry a hidden pain, a hidden pressure, a silent script running in the background that says, "You're only a man if you can fix her." So they find women in deep pain, women who are lost, broken, or burdened, and they step in like saviors. They fall in love with her sadness. They try to carry her wounds. They build a relationship based on healing her. But here's what often happens. When she finally heals, she outgrows him. Why? Because he didn't love her strength. He loved her sadness. She may feel grateful, but not connected. And sometimes she'll even resent him for loving her at her lowest. Because it makes her question, what does that say about you? That you chose me when I had nothing to offer? It might sound harsh, but it's real. People often feel safest with those who love their strength, not their struggle. If you attach yourself to someone's healing, they may associate you with their weakness. And when they finally become whole, they want to leave the version of themselves they were with you. That's why helping someone isn't the same as being their match. You think loving them through darkness guarantees light together, but it doesn't. Love that's born in imbalance rarely survives stability. And this truth applies to both men and women. Some women take on projects instead of partners. They mother him, carry him, pour everything into him, hoping that when he becomes the man he's meant to be, he'll turn around and finally live her fully. But what often happens? He grows. He gains clarity, and then he leaves. Because sometimes, once he has wings, he wants to fly to someone new, one who doesn't remind him of how lost he once was. And the woman who gave everything becomes just a chapter in his evolution, not the destination. This is what I call the paradox of healing love. You love them through their wounds, and they leave you with new ones of your own. That's why you must love without a hidden deal. You help because it's in your heart, not because you're expecting them to love you harder once they're whole. True love has no conditions, but self-love has boundaries. And this is where most people go wrong. They confuse unconditional love with unconditional tolerance. Yes, love should be patient. Love should be understanding. But love should also have a backbone, a line, a standard. Because the moment you tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or emotional laziness in the name of a lover, you are no longer in love. You're in survival. People don't cheat because you're not enough. They cheat because they aren't enough for themselves. But here's the catch. They will only get away with what you allow. If someone believes they can lie, withdraw, or play games, and still have access to your love, they begin to lose respect, and where respect dies, attraction follows. This is why so many people lose the one they thought they had forever, not because love died, but because one person started tolerating too much while the other person stopped trying. A love dies, not with a bang, but with a sigh. So if you want to become someone who can't be betrayed, don't become paranoid. Become clear. Become consistent. Become grounded in what you will and won't allow. Set the tone early. If someone pulls away, don't chase. If they lie, don't argue. Just leave. If they disrespect you once, correct it. If they do it twice, remove yourself. You're not being cold. You're being loyal to yourself. And here's the twist. People respect you more when you're willing to walk away, when you're not desperate to keep them, when you don't fear being alone. Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who chooses you but doesn't need you. Attachment says, I can't live without you. Love says, I want to live with you. Wisdom says, I'll walk away if I have to. That's the real holy trinity of relationships. Now let's talk about a different kind of trap, people-pleasing. It sounds innocent, being nice, being easygoing, never causing problems. But in love, people-pleasing is poison. Because when you shrink yourself to be accepted, you become invisible to the one who could have loved the real you. The man who agrees with everything she says, who never speaks his mind, who thinks being a nice guy will win her heart, often gets overlooked. Why? Because women don't fall for doormats. They fall for presence, for depth, for confidence, for depth, for confidence wrapped in kindness. The man who stands his ground with grace, who leads with his heart, but doesn't abandon his spine. That's the man who's remembered. Don't confuse passivity with peace. Don't confuse silence with maturity. Sometimes silence is just fear in disguise. And that's the real killer of love. Not conflict, but comfort. Too much comfort. Too much comfort breeds boredom. When there's no edge, no risk, no truth being spoken, attraction fades. You need honesty. You need boundaries. You need two people showing up fully, not just trying to be liked. You want to be irreplaceable? Then don't be perfect. Be real. Bring your voice to the table. Share your fears. Speak your desires. Because love can only exist where truth lives. And compatibility isn't about liking the same movies or food. Compatibility is, how do we solve problems? How do we communicate when we're angry? How do we make each other feel safe? That's where the relationship is tested. And here's one more hard truth. Someone can love you and still not be compatible with you. They can have deep feelings for you, but lack the emotional maturity to handle a relationship. They can adore you, but refuse to grow. And loving someone who won't evolve with you will break you down slowly, piece by piece. So what do? You stay in your power. You lead with your soul. You express with your heart, but make decisions with your standards. Let your love be strong, but your boundaries be stronger. You don't have to fight to prove your worth. The right one will see it in how you carry yourself. The greatest gift you can give someone is your presence. The greatest test is whether they respect it. If not, the most powerful response is not revenge. It's removal. It's removal.
Yeah.
Because when you walk away quietly, with your dignity intact, you say more than words ever could. And finally, you always remember this. You cannot control who hurts you, but you can control who gets the chance. You cannot make someone loyal, but you can create a life where only the loyal belong. You cannot force love to last, but you can become the kind of person who attracts real love by being real. So don't spend your life trying to avoid pain. Spend it building a love so aligned, so self-aware, and so deeply grounded that pain has no place to hide. Let your love be a mirror, not a mask. Let it reveal who they are, not who you wish they'd be. And let your soul speak louder than your silence. Because real love isn't found. It's created, it's built, it's earned. And it always, always begins with you.